Younger players the Sixers should target. Biggest draft need. Nikola Jokic proves best availability is availability. Let's talk about that more and next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Hello, I'm Keith Pompey, and this is my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers, and we want to thank you guys for listening, making this the first listen every day, like I said. But we got a lot to talk about, Mitch. You know, the Sixers keep talking about these old 35 and above superstars, right?
And Keith, I call it the Methuselah movement.
So they keep talking about these old heads, right? So, you know, a couple young cats that you think maybe they should try to go after.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. I do believe that they still going to end up with an old head if they end up with one. And then we'll talk about the biggest draft need. You know, I talked to Khalil Ware yesterday here in Chicago. Great guy, really athletic. Think that he'll be a perfect fit for the Sixers. We'll talk about that. Thirdly, now, when I voted for Nikola Jokic, I had to explain myself on here to you and the other people about that pick, about why I did that. But, you know, as you proved, the best ability, as you said, the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
And the boy, the white brother, is extremely available right now, and he's making it, you know, impact. Now, so we'll talk about the third segment, but I also blame the NBA for this because they gave the defending champions 3 days to prepare between games 2 and game 3. And it just seemed like them adjustments and that they made, Mike Malone and them, is really getting at the Timberwolves. But look, bro, so let's start it off. Young guys. Mm-hmm. Now, we talk about Paul George.
Right.
Old head. We talk about LeBron. Old head. You know, some other guys. But who are some of the young cats you think that the 76ers should consider in a free agent market or via trades?
Yeah, you know, I'm looking at, you know, while we've been talking about the Methuselah movement for some time now, and, you know, some of these guys who, you know, are getting nearing the wrong side of not just 30 but 35. You know, I mean, some of these younger guys who are out there, you know, maybe they can, you know, take an eraser to that Mikal Bridges mistake that they made, you know, and possibly bring him in, you know, a guy who's going to be an Iron Man for you, a guy who's going to give you unquestionable perimeter defense, you know, and obviously we don't have a lot of assets, but I mean, the one thing I think people might be interested in, you might be, you know, that unprotected pick that he got from the Clippers in 2028. I mean, who knows where the Clippers will fall when that team starts coming apart at the seams, which we pretty much can almost see from a distance happening. Lauri Markkanen, man, everybody was talking about him, you know, at the trade deadline, and Utah got hot around the trade deadline. He said, well, we're not necessarily going to move him, but he's a guy who, a big guy who you can actually play him alongside Embiid, but more importantly, and I'm not talking about him as, you know, you could play him when Embiid's on the bench. That's a guy who you can run out there as your center in today's NBA. You know what I mean? 7-footer who can stroke it, who is athletic. You know, why not look at some of those guys, man? Even Brandon Ingram. I mean, I know New Orleans kind of soured on him toward the during the playoffs, and then he kind of took a step back, but he's primarily been a good player. He's been a good player, and but the one component to these guys is you're not trying to you're not trying to sell an old veteran who's going to just eat up and devour cap space, and that's valuable in today's game.
Yeah. Now, yeah, I agree. Now, my one thing is, I don't know. I'm not as big on a Malkin playing for the Sixers as,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason why I think that he's a great player, I
Mm-hmm.
do, but I think that this might be a bad situation for him. And the reason why I'm saying that is because all I know is when he went to Cleveland, he goes to he was in Cleveland for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and that didn't work out at all.
But
And
he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready then.
he wasn't ready, but I also think that he's the type of player that if you got I think he needs a leadership role. I mean like being like a focal point. And you're right, he wasn't ready. That could be it. But what I mean is it's like he comes here, and if he's the third fiddle here,
Mm-hmm.
because let's face it, it's going to be Embiid and Maxey. But if he's the third fiddle, how does that impact? I mean, how does that affect his impact on the game?
But,
You
but
know what I mean? That's my only concern.
right,
You know what
right.
I mean? Because he goes to like at Chicago, he's playing well. They get rid of, so then he goes to gets traded to Cleveland. He wasn't that good. But then he goes to Utah, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, it's all about you again. And then
Yeah.
he becomes the man again. So my thing is, you know, does he become another Tobias Harris being here? A guy standing in the corner waiting for the ball, and the ball doesn't come. I mean,
Okay.
so it's like on paper it all sounds good, but you saw how Maxey was in Game 6. Brother man wasn't looking to pass the rock; he was just coming down, do whoopity doo. Joel was trying to get his, and it could change. Now, a guy who I like, if they can go get him, and it would have to be the team deciding like, yo, we got to start over again. We messed up. The best guy that go for me to fit in this system would be a young cat would be Mikal Bridges,
Mm-hmm.
Devon's cousin,
Yeah, yeah.
right? I mean,
I'm not. Hey, I'm not pushing back.
oh, I'm not, but yeah,
Yeah,
like
I'm not pushing back on
yeah,
that.
like you ain't pushing back because it's people from West Philly. They're from West Philly. They're from
Right,
around
but
here.
you know what? He brings a game from the dungeon, man. He's there
He
every
bring the game, but he also a brother who like doesn't need the ball. Now he when he gets the ball, he'll do something, but he doesn't need the ball to impact the game,
right,
right? And that's what
right.
you need with this team. You like to play the pair alongside Embiid and Maxey. Like you need someone who is going to be dominant and on both ends of the floor. Like, but they don't have to become that guy because see, the problem is if you become that, if you want to be that offensive guy, then you may have problems because you ain't going to be happy coming here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my concern about Brandon Ingram. I like Brandon Ingram, but all I know is he got benched in the crucial playing game because they didn't like the way he was playing. They didn't like his effort, right?
Yeah,
And then on Team USA this last summer, he was benched, right? So that with that, my concern is how is he going to deal with coming here and feeling like he the third fiddle when he think he should be the man?
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's my only concern with him.
yeah. And you know how things work out in this league, Keith. Usually, in your career, if you don't step into the league and if you're not super nice, you soon realize that you know what, there's a pecking order. And the talent surfaces once they start scrimmaging. The talent starts surfacing, uh, during the preseason. When he comes here, if he were to come here, he would see where he fit. There wouldn't be any, you know what I mean? There wouldn't be any misconceptions about where he fits. And he just has, if he wants to make money and get paid and stay in the league, he's got to find that lane. And that lane coming here would be behind Joel Embiid when he's available, Tyrese Maxey, and so forth and so on. But listen, when we get back, I'm going to have a word from one of our sponsors, BetterHelp. But when we get back, we'll talk about we'll talk about the biggest draft need. You're out in Chicago, so you're getting a chance to get a firsthand look of what's going on out there. So when we get back from talking about BetterHelp, this, you know, every now and then you've got to get something off your chest. You have stresses in your life that can be big and small. And, when we keep them bottled up, those things can really start to affect us negatively. Therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and to figure out how to work through whatever is weighing on you. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and it's also suited to your schedule. You can do BetterHelp. You can do it in the late hours. You can do it in the early morning. And all they're going to ask you is that you just fill out a brief questionnaire, and they'll get you matched with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. Do it today. Make sure you do it today. So listen, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? If you are, you should get a life. Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single solitary day.
Do it today, people. Definitely do it today.
Definitely.
So here's the deal, man. So like we talk about we talk about guys that they could possibly go after, and we talk about draft needs and whatnot. A guy like Khalil Ware from Indiana, the brothers from Arkansas, 6'11", 3/4 without shoes on. So you know what I mean, and that makes a difference because when you sound like it, you look at a guy like Tobias per se. Tobias is listed as
right
6'10". Without his shoes, he's 6'7". You know what I mean?
Tobias was playing in 3-inch heels, man.
But I'm just saying that's just how these dudes are. They all like so they so when you hear a guy who's a 7-footer essentially without any shoes, then like he like 7'1", 7'2". That's what they're gonna say, right? So that's him, 230. The brother can he in the 3/4 like sprint. He like did it in like 3.2 or something like that. He was rolling like the second fastest time there of the people who did it. And like, whoa. And then not only that, he was shooting the ball well in the 3-point drill, right?
Yeah.
So he's a guy, the modern day center, who can step out and hit jumpers. I mean, hit threes. He can defend. He can do a lot of things. And I look at him now, some people may say to the 76ers right now, because the 76ers are going to keep Paul Reed. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So they're looking at it as if like, we don't really need a big. And I'm like, no, you do need a big. You've been needing a big for a while. Like You need a long athletic guy. Like to me, this guy can be for them. Yeah, although he's young, he can be for them everything that they was wishing and hoping Mo Bamba was.
Yeah.
He's long, he's athletic, he can step out and shoot, he can protect the rim, he can do a lot of things for them. Now, again, if you can go out there and get Drummond, then you could get Drummond. But what I'm saying is, if you can't get Drummond, this guy is long, athletic, a better offensive talent than Drummond, right? And I feel like, Khalil Ware from Indiana would be a great option for the 76ers.
Yeah, if I mean, if you look at what he did, he transferred, at Oregon as a freshman. He averaged 6.6 points, 4.1 boards, and a little over 1 block per game as a freshman. He stepped into Indiana and big, in a bigger, in a tougher basketball conference, and his scoring jumped to 15.9. He grabbed nearly 10 rebounds and blocked damn near 2 shots per game. But what I like about him is that he can stroke the three as well, which is, and let's be honest, he's we don't want him to fall in love with the three, but when the three is available to him, he can make it. If their philosophy is that they don't need a center, and B-ball Paul is the answer. We saw B-ball Paul. Some people are dissatisfied with B-ball Paul. We kind of talk B-ball Paul up between you and me because we see him developing. But I know a lot of people are making comments, and in the comment section that they don't see the energy. They don't see B-ball Paul necessarily being that backup center. If you can get that guy, like I said, that long guy, that Mo Bamba, Mo Bamba, we kind of know what Mo Bamba is now. He's Mo Bamba. He's never ever going to be an impact player. He shows traits, he shows signs, and he's serviceable like it as the ninth man during a regular season. So if you can get a guy like Ware, and people need to be realistic. The draft is not producing. This is a weak draft. The draft is not producing players who step right in and make impact. A guy I like is Isaiah Colley, but we're talking about a need right now. Bronny's teammate, but we're talking about.
Okay, okay, go ahead. When you get done, I gotta ask you a question about young man because I spoke to him yesterday too.
Okay.
So go ahead. So we're talking about a need, but okay. or real quick. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
About Isaiah,
I like his athleticism. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
I like his size, and I like his willingness to play perimeter defense.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna tell you this. He's bigger than I thought because it's kind of like he was, at the podium and we were talking to him. Brother was saying some great things, nice stuff, the whole nine, right? Everything was cool. But then, he went on ESPN and he was standing, watching Bronny play.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked past, I'm like, yo, he bigger than what I thought.
And
Bronny, you know what I mean?
Bronny's smaller than what I thought.
Yeah, Bronny's man. I was like, yeah, Bronny's smaller than what I thought too.
He's on that Lilliputian tip.
Yeah, Bronny is definitely smaller than what I thought. But Isaiah, I'm not gonna lie, he looked. I was like, yo, this dude had a little bit of a presence to him, and this and that, and he's 6'5", man. That's what I'm saying. He's 6'5". He got, he's big guard, and that's what you like. 6'5", 210. That's what you need. But when he first came in there, it was like, all right, he all right. But yeah, you're right. Him and Bronny are the polar opposites when you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you look at it, and I'm not, that's not a knock at Bronny. I'm just saying Bronny's smaller than you thought, and this guy is bigger than what you thought.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Right.
I'm saying. Before the people saying, "Oh, y'all hating." Nah.
No, the reality. Here's the difference, Keith. People think that you're hating, but you're standing right next to these guys.
Yeah.
You're standing right next to them, so it's easy to assess your height. And
Bronny, look, I'm 5'11", They
Hmm.
saying Bronny 6'1" and whatever. Like me and Bronny like closer to that. I must be taller than that. Then I must be 6 foot, right? You know what I
Right.
mean? Whatever. I mean, who knows? I don't think they lying, but all I'm saying is, Bronny is a little bit shorter than I thought, and this dude Isaiah, when I was like, yo, that young boy is kind of he
Yeah.
got some size to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So that's where we are. That's where we are.
Yeah. Well, listen. When we get back to when we get to come back here for the third segment, we can talk about. I guess they gave it looks like they gave the MVP to the right player. The comparison has been there about Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, and hey man, once again, uh, Jokic is showing you why he is, why he is that guy. But right now, let's talk about game time. Right now, and that's why I brought up Jokic. I'm excited about the NBA playoffs. And although I probably sat courtside for about 1,500 games in my lifetime, it would be great to attend a game. To sit up in the stands and eat popcorn, even if it costs you $15 for the popcorn. With game, so with game time, you can get the tickets that you want. You know what I mean? You can get last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. It's easy to find and buy Major League Baseball tickets, and not just for baseball, but for the NBA and for any sort of event you want. You can get last minute deals where you're saving up to 60% off buying last minutes for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. And the zone deals that I mentioned, you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats for you. So if you want to get out and enjoy some of those games, if you want to peep out the fields because they are rolling, take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase, or Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Do it today, people.
Do it.
Definitely
Yes,
do
sir.
it
Yes, sir.
today. So, yeah, man. Like, so I mean, but here's the thing. Like, it's the Joker is showing his dominance, but we're gonna be fair. Like, and we got to be real. We got to separate the regular season from the postseason, right? You have to. But at the same time, I feel like the stuff that he's doing now is the same stuff he was doing in the regular season. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I just feel like a lot of people got swept up, and we saw what Shea was doing. People saw what Ant-Man was doing in the playoffs, and then they decided, like, yo, what's going on? Why they keep giving it to this dude? But if you
Mhm.
look at it and you see him in person and you see him play, now granted, Joel Embiid gets the best of him. Joel Embiid dominates this dude. But when you look at this guy, and we talk about most valuable, really, he's their point guard. They run everything through him. Murray
Yeah.
is doing like cutting to the basket, doing all types of stuff. They doing they pick and roll. They doing all types of stuff. So it's kind of like it's more or less he at the high post or some in the perimeter, orchestrating everything. And then it seems like the unfortunate thing that at what Minnesota did was they woke up the sleeping giant. They were
Yeah.
up there talking trash. They were doing all types of things. They smacked them in the mouth. And this dude is out here imposing his will. You know what it looked like? He beating up on like how he beat up on Anthony Davis last season. Not this season, because Anthony Davis came at him this year and
Yeah.
played well. It was like a pride type of thing. But last year, dog, he was like putting it on AD. And now he's putting it on this squad. He's like imposing his will, like, I am the alpha. I am the omega.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what he's doing. And he looks good though. You're right. But he's available. He
He's yeah.
plays, and that's another reason why he got MVP. he doesn't miss games. All the
Right,
other dudes, they miss him. He doesn't miss. He's
right.
always available.
And the guy we're comparing him to, let me just be quite honest, we're comparing him we're comparing him to Joel Embiid. I mean, again, Joel appeared in 39 regular season games. That's just 7 more games for the 76ers than Buddy Hield played for the 76ers during the regular season. So you have to take his availability into account. You just can't beating up on Charlotte on a cold February and October is not the same thing as crawling out of a 2-0 hole as a defending champions and having people writing you off, completely writing you off to take a 3-2 lead. And I told everybody, I said the winner of Game 4 is going to win that series. And who showed up? Nikola Jokic showed up.
Mhm.
He's averaging 40 minutes per game. He's averaging 28 points per game in the playoffs, 13.3 boards, and 9.5 assists. So he's a half assist away from averaging a triple double, averaging 29 points per game, man. So you
Ain't
know
that crazy?
it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. And he looks like this plotting guy. And you know what? He is this plotting guy, but he's a great athlete. It just he doesn't look like the Lambo. He looks like that F-15 pickup truck. You know what I mean? 1500 pickup truck, whatever it is. That's what he looks like. But you know what? When that truck gets rolling, it's going to run right through. And that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
So and that's why he looks again, while we're trying to figure out is Joel Embiid going to ask for an extension. This guy is showing you that whatever he asked for, he deserves, and he doesn't even have to ask for it. He's that nice. So
And we also trying to figure out if Joel Embiid is going to be healthy. This guy
every
is out here produce. This guy is durable and he plays every game.
exactly. I mean, we're
You know?
talking. And people say, "Oh, you're hating on Joel Embiid." Well, you should be hating on the aspect that he's missed 336 games. Now, granted, we can't fix his health. We don't have a magic wand and we can just wave and say get better. But 336 games—that's the equivalent to 4 full NBA regular seasons, man. That's 4 full seasons he's missed, and I'd like to have an extension for 195 million more. And that's going to come up this summer. So, hey, man, sometimes you got to be real. And I'm not saying they shouldn't do it because they have married themselves to Joel,
Yeah, they
and
had.
because of talent, I understand it. It's a hell of a conundrum, man. It's a hell of a
Yeah,
conundrum.
it's crazy. Your people, your people. So we'll talk about that. Wow, we'll be talking about this for a minute. I got a feeling we will be. This is going to be the storyline
Yeah,
because they're going to go. They're going to the ship, man, and they
yeah,
may and
yeah,
they may beat Boston. They'll probably beat Boston.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because he'll be the X factor.
It'll be the X factor.
You know. But look, y'all. Thanks for listening. I want to talk to y'all about Locked On. Right? Oh, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and is also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So, I'm about to go back over here to see what these guys are playing. Like, I don't really get a lot out of watching these games, but I
Yeah,
like being in the company of NBA types and, try to get information and converse with people. So that's what it is. But these games are, I don't know. They don't really. I mean, you basically mess your stock up. That's what I look at it like
yeah.
more so than improving it. But so we'll talk to that. But I'll do that, and we'll talk about more things tomorrow. But hey, y'all, we want to thank y'all for listening, and we want y'all to have a blessed day. Peace.
Have a great one, y'all.